G'day everybody and welcome back to the channel. Back on Ross Reviews here, guys, and today we are driving an XG Ford Falcon, and this thing is the S-Pack. What a epic ute this car is. You know, I'm so happy to finally be getting something a little bit older on the channel, because I've really been struggling to find an ED, an EF, any kind of Falcons from this era, and today we got one. Guys, this thing is absolutely in pristine condition, basically 100% factory, and we got the 5-speed manual here, inline 6, single overhead cam. Oh yeah, just like the AU, mate. This engine, have a look at the engine bay, guys. It looks absolutely pristine. You can eat on this thing. I'm really impressed with just the aesthetics of it. Not very powerful though. This thing does make about 148 kilowatts, about 350 Newton meters from factory. And you know, you step on it, it's definitely not that quick. We definitely could use the turbo under there, but I gotta say, you know, to see this thing in its glory, factory, super clean in here, far out, this thing is just wicked. Now, these XG Falcons did come out in 1993, and they were carried through up until 1996. They took over from the XF range, and you know, really nothing was that much different. They just changed the front end of this car. So it basically got a different nose cone up front. I'm gonna say, you know, this thing looks pretty cool. You know, it's definitely not the most handsome vehicle from the front end, but I really do like this old school style. You know, it's very boxy, very 90s. It's bloody awesome. And look, we're just getting it around some corners here. Oh yeah, we got a bit of body roll. The steering is kind of all over the place. Super light. It's really comfortable to drive though. It really is. And sitting in the front seat here, ripping it around the corner, we're on our favorite back road. Mate, this is an experience. You gotta love these older Falcons. Just, you know, simple car. This thing is so simple. You look under in the bonnet there, there's absolutely there's like 5 fuses, 5 relays, that's it. And, you know, it's throttle by wire. You got your clutch cable under there. It's just simple technology, and it works. You know, these things, very much like the AU, you can see these engines going for like 500,000 Ks plus, easy. Now, these XGs also were only available as a ute or as a panel van, because these were basically in that funny period when there wasn't really any V8s from Ford. So they all had these kind of single overhead cam, you know, Intex basically is what they are. They're, you know, early AU edition motors pretty much. And these were for the tradies. So, you know, you only had them as a ute, as a panel van, and they were just simple, you know, guys. Like, even in here, the inside, it's super basic climate controls. The owner has put in a aftermarket Pioneer radio, and that is pretty much the only aftermarket thing in here. We've got 4 speakers in this because this is the S-Pack. So I think standard ones would have had 2 speakers, 2-speaker sound system. This one being the S-Pack, it's got a little bit more luxury. We got 4 speakers, guys. Surround sound, 1994, how you going? Now, what else you would get with the S-Pack is we did have a little bit more of a fancy gauge cluster. I do believe this is very similar to what would have been in the XR6 variant of this vehicle. So we get a rev counter, a couple of more gauges, you know, your oil temperature and stuff like that. We also do get a nicer interior in terms of bucket seats. So a standard Workmate one of these would have just had a bench seat. You would have had a column, 4-speed shifter. We got the 5-speed manual in this. We got red trim bucket seats. Even the door cards here, they are done in this fabric with some red stitching on them. I believe in the standard ones, it would have just been like plastic, something very basic. The S-Pack also did receive mag wheels, so we did get these pretty nice looking mags, you know, And I'm gonna say, you know, you had a red stripe also on the outside, so I think it's just so funny because this thing did not get any performance upgrades. You basically just got a sticker kit and a bit of a nicer interior, you know, and that was the sport mode, the Falcon S. And, you know, I love, back in the 90s, you could have got away with that. You know, people would have been like, yeah, I'm buying the S, the sport mode. I got a red stripe, some different wheels, and a bucket seat. Yeah, buddy. You know, it's just so funny. You know, today, a sport mode's got to have 100 more horsepower, this, whatever. Not in the 90s. Revs out to 5,000 RPM. Woo, mate. The air conditioning is not working at all. I'm definitely sweating bullets in here today for you guys. And, mate, what a rig, though. And this is a vehicle that I just have not seen on the roads at all. You know, they were only out for 3 years of production. And, you know, they were tradesmen's utes. So a lot of people used and abused these, and they're just rotting away in a paddock somewhere. To see one like this, you know, there are very few examples around that are in this condition. It's really nice to see. And this particular XG, it's got almost 320,000 kilometers, and it is in this nice of condition, still drives immaculately. It's just a credit to the owner. You know, absolute legend for letting me take it out today. Huge thank you to him. I absolutely love this wheel too. You know, it just looks super weird. Like, it's a 3-spoke design, super cushiony, like plastic, foam. You know, you got these very dinky kind of indicator stalks. So you've got your wipers here on the left, your indicator on the right, and your horn is not in the middle. No horn in the middle. So you've got a horn actually on the indicator. If you push that in, there's the horn, guys. I love this thing. Now, curb weight on one of these things, 1.5 ton roughly. A good thing about this car was you could have optioned this as a 1-tonner. So, you know, this thing really was a workhorse back in the day. And one of the models I absolutely love that you could have spec'd this thing in was the Outback Edition. It was one of these XGs with bigger suspension, you had dual fuel tanks, and it had a Bush Bash plate on it. How cool is that? You know, put a big rhubar on it, couple of aerials for your CB, mate, and you have got one of the most Aussie Mad Max utes you could possibly think of. And holy crap, that thing is just cool. I'm still waiting. Anyone who's got a Mad Max big Aussie bull bar Bush Roo thing, mate, I want to review one. So whoever's got one, let me know. Let's get it on the channel. We got to do that review. Now, there's another cool feature with this car because, again, back in the early 90s, you know, the cars were just so much simpler. There's a little plate down here next to the driver's knee, the right knee, just under where the keys are. And essentially, it's blank, but it allowed you to customize that to fit any kind of various switches. So if you wanted to have lights in here, you know, CB radio controls, just anything, you know, you were able to customize this plate, run all your cords to it, and that's brilliant. I absolutely think that is so cool and far out, you know, that, like, stuff like that, they should never have gotten rid of because it still looks totally fine there with nothing on it. And then the fact you have that customizability there without having to cut into your dash or anything. Good job, Ford. Good job. Now, just before we continue with this XG S-Pack review, guys, make sure you do go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button and click the bell notifications so you do stay updated on all my weekly uploads where I do have a ton of wicked Aussie cars coming onto the channel regularly. So come and join, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Let's get back into this car. Yeah, buddy. Turning circle's pretty good. You get on it. Gearbox is not the smoothest. It's definitely an older box, you can tell, but you still know where those gears are. Easy to find. You're not lost in it. The throws aren't too big. It's just not the smoothest in and out motion is all. Your clutch pedal as well, it is pretty firm. So, you got to be a little bit aggressive with this car when you're doing some quick shifts. Now let's just go ahead and talk about price, because this is a little bit of a tricky one since there just is not many of these for sale. I had a look on car sales. There was one totally flogged out panel van that had about 450,000 Ks. They wanted about $8,000 for it. There was one immaculate Ute that looked like it had a ton of work done to it. It looked like it had a wide body, pretty low Ks, around 200,000, and it was about $16,000. So something like this, it is a sport model. Me and the owner think you're probably going to look around $10,000 to $12,000. I think you could be getting into that 15,000 mark if an enthusiast really wanted one of these, but there's probably just not a huge demand for one of these because it is just not that fast. It doesn't have that AU stigma and following about it, but in terms for just a wicked old school Ute for a collector or something, this is a wicked car. It's just so nice to drive. One thing that I've got to absolutely knock in here is we got no cup holders. We got no goddamn cup holders. How the heck do we have no cup holders in this car, guys? Ford, where the hell were tradies back in the 90s supposed to put their coffee mate? Because there's nothing. We got an ashtray, a cigarette lighter, you got your handbrake, you got your center console. There's no cup holder in here. What the heck? Come on. Far out. Now, 0 to 100, guys. Let us have a reset of this Dragy. Who knows what this is going to be? It's manual. Go, girl, go. $100. Mate. What a beast. What a beast. 0 to 100 there, guys, was done in 13.3 seconds. So obviously it isn't the fastest. Of course, we knew that. It's a 5-speed manual as well. But man, it's a sweet girl to shift. I'll tell you what, this thing is a great country cruiser. So cool. Just windows down. Cruising a nice country back road. Western Australia, guys. Honestly, as a Canadian, lived here for over 10 years now, it doesn't get much better than this, than getting in these old school Aussie cars and just cruising the country, because man, it's something special. We got beautiful scenery. These cars just go so nostalgic. I love my job.